How is the integumentary system damaged? A common type of damage is a burn, which we usually associate with excess heat, but can also be caused by excess cold, friction, certain chemicals, or electricity and radiation. Burns are categorized by the thickness of the damage. Broadly, they can be divided into partial and full thickness burns. Partial thickness burns are burns where only a partial amount of the skin is damaged. These include first and second degree burns. First degree burns damage only the epidermis. This results in some redness, some edema or slight swelling, and pain. These are minor burns that heal within a few days, usually leaving no scar. Good examples are sunburns or very brief exposure to too hot or too cold temperatures. Second degree burns are quite variable. These damage the epidermis and some part of the dermis. But remember, the dermis is really thick, so we could have a second degree burn that goes just into the papillary area, damaging a small portion of the dermis, or a second degree burn that progresses further, deeper into the reticular region, also damaging follicles, glands, nerves, and vessels. Here we'll also see redness and edema and pain, blisters. The burn may appear red or tan or white. Healing times vary considerably depending on the amount of damage, from a couple weeks to a couple months. Depending on how much of the dermis is damaged, scarring might result. These deeper burns are those that result in a tan or white color that can then lead to scarring. Full thickness burns are also called third degree burns, which destroy all of the epidermis and the dermis. The burned areas can be white, tan, brown, or black, or bright cherry red. In the third degree burn itself, the nerve endings are all burned away, so they are painless. However, surrounding them, we'll see painful second degree and first degree burns. The epidermis will regenerate from any epithelial tissue left over. So that would be the epithelial tissue at the edges of the burn or present in any follicles or sweat glands that remain. These deeper burns are going to take longer to heal as more tissue and more structures are damaged and less epithelial tissue is left over. We'll also see scar tissue and loss of function. For serious burns, a skin graft might be necessary to speed healing along. The skin is a major protective organ, so without the skin, infections become a very serious problem. We want to speed healing along as much as possible. A split skin graft is one that's taken from skin at another location of the body. If this isn't possible, donor skin or cadaver skin may be used. Here we see a diagram where we can see the extent of the first degree, second degree burns, but a second degree burn is any that penetrates into the dermis, so here or here would still be classified as a second degree. And then third degree or full thickness is going to progress all the way down into the hypodermis. Another type of damage we see here is skin cancer. Because of our exposure to the sun, this is the most common cause of cancer. It's due to a mutation in our DNA caused by the UV light within sunlight. And UV light mutations across the board in other organisms are very common. Fair-skinned and older people are more prone to skin cancer. This makes sense, as fair-skinned people have less melanin and older people have spent more time being exposed to UV light. Limiting sun exposure using sunscreen can both cut down on the incidence of skin cancer. UVA rays are those that result in tan and malignant melanomas, while UVB cause sunburns, and the FDA regulates that all sunblocks will prevent exposure to both. There are 3 types of skin cancer, ranging from most to least common. Basal cell carcinoma is by far the most common, 80% of skin cancer incidents are basal cell carcinoma. Basal for stratum basal. The cells here are affected. Remember, this is the metabolically active layer. This can extend into the dermis. This is the least lethal type of cancer. It rarely metastasizes. It is fairly easily removed by surgery and radiation. When the cells above the stratum basal in the stratum spinosum, so the more squamous cells, are affected, we have squamous cell carcinoma. So roughly about 70% of skin cancers. These are more likely to metastasize and invade into the dermis. So early detection is even more important. Finally, the rarest type is malignant melanoma, which affects the melanocytes within a mole. So then you've heard of checking for irregular moles, mole that looks weird that you have not noticed before. It's malignant melanoma that people are talking about. This is the rarest type, but it's the deadliest. It's highly likely to metastasize and spread to other areas. So early detection is critical to prevent it from becoming fatal. And finally here we see how different the different types of skin cancer look with basal cell, squamous cell, and our malignant melanoma. Now, as we get older, our integumentary system is going to be affected. Everything slows down. Blood flow slows down. The skin becomes thinner because collagen and elastic fiber production slows down. Our glands slow down their activity. And because our glands do different things, this has different effects. Our sebaceous glands slowing down means that there's less sebum to lubricate and moisturize the skin, so cracking becomes more likely, leading to infection. Because our sweat glands also slow down, temperature regulation becomes more challenging. Just like our collagen fibers, our elastic fibers decrease and become less elastic. This causes the skin to sag and is what leads to wrinkles. Melanocytes also generally decrease in number and in production. And in general, infections become more likely and the repair of tissue damage becomes slower. So we have a lot to look forward to, right? But our integumentary system remains fairly functional well into old age, even though we do see deterioration. So it'll keep protecting us for a good long time.